What's up, people? Time for part two. I know it's looking blue here because at night, like when I used to shoot these videos, especially in Reno, the second time at the beginning of the persecution, I would use this as a screen in the background. I used to do them all at night. So, um, just. Wait. There. See how it's like, looks like it's cruising through space. Anyway, okay, so last time we talked, or last time I preached to you, I preached at you. We left off after the Solomon quote. Now, these quotes are actually for kids. If you're not on the list, then you won't see them on my friends list. You won't see them. Maybe followers list, but I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure it's just friends lists. It doesn't really matter. All that matters is that it's hidden from the general public, because these are verses that parents can go over with their kids. All right, that's why I put them here, and it's also for anybody. You know, if you want to just like, if you need to start out reading the shorter scripts, you can do that too. But I'm not going to post these to the public because it's a way of protecting kids. All right. So we talked about the Solomon quote. Don't forget about the crack too. Like, we all have coping mechanisms, right? I'm a shaman. I'm all about drugs except crack, But, I've often said, everybody wants a drug-free America. And I've also often said, okay, well, let's take all the drugs off the shelves. All of them, even the illegal drugs, everything, and just rely on meditation. But nobody wants to go for that. The pharma industry is about money, and the war on drugs is all about money and then putting those same drugs back on the street. So, you can bitch at me all you want, but the best coping mechanism is meditation and living a righteous life, and also exercise. All right, those are the important things. You got to clear your head, get it out of there. All right. All right, so the Solomon quote: "Many will seek audience with a ruler, but it's." Hold on a second. I'm doing this without my glasses because my glasses don't have the anti-glare. Yeah, it's an inexpensive ride out this way, that's for sure. But anyway, okay. Many will seek audience with a ruler, but it is from the Lord that a man gets justice. Okay, and we talked about that. All right, so I'm actually naked on my lower half. I usually do that. Like, I want to get one of those like things where I can put on and it looks like a suit. Just kidding. I'll never wear a suit. Like, you catch me if I go out to the Middle East, you'll never catch me with a suit on. I'm gonna be like cargo shorts, sandals, boring sandals, the best, and a t-shirt, maybe a Tool t-shirt or something. But yeah, I'm that guy with the concert t-shirt, especially Tool t-shirts. They are awesome. Okay, the next one is from Confucius. All right. I have not seen a person who loved virtue or one who hated what is not virtuous. He who loved virtue would esteem nothing above it. He who hated what is not virtuous would practice virtue in such a way that he would not allow that which is not virtuous to approach his being. Is anyone able for one day to apply his strength to virtue? I have not seen the case in which his strength would not be insufficient. And this is what I'm talking about the religious life, the religious way, or even if you're an atheist, you rely on proof. I dig that. I understand. One of my best teachers for philosophy, ethics, and for logic, he was an atheist. And I came in there wild texting all about Buddha, and I did. I drove him crazy at first. Like, he was just like, I was like, Buddha already knew all this. What the fuck, and all this. And he's like, he got red faced and he talked to me and he was like, "You can't do that or I'm kicking you out," kind of shit, you know. And I'm still wild, but he taught me how to have that unconditional mind. All right. So yeah, atheists, I get it. You want proof? The proof is right here. Just keep paying attention and I'll prove it. All right. But I understand. You're not necessarily going to go to hell if you're an atheist if you can believe in the possibility of there being a God. And that's the same with religious people. You have to believe in the possibility that there could not be a God. All right. Every rational person should be able to admit that they could be wrong. And I'm the same. It's like, I have all this proof and I have this awesome world and everything, but, what if it's a delusion? And so I have to think about that and I have to check myself. Not every day anymore. In the beginning, I did. But anyway, this is all talking about how important virtue is. For the longest time, men wanted to be all about women being virtuous, and men doing whatever and just going by the women's rules. And that's the whole Adam and Eve thing, right? Adam could have stopped Eve from eating the apple. He could have stopped eating it himself, but he took advice from Eve and ate the apple. Of course, it's a myth. The first humans were apes, apes, humans, Neanderthals, whatever. But there's purpose behind that myth, like I explained the previous video. All right. So I know men these days, it's like, forget about it. You can't count on men to be courageous or virtuous or anything until they learn it. But you have to learn that unconditional way of life, that unconditional mind where, like I said, I went through the persecution, homelessness. I never bent from my rules at all. I even had set rules. I had Scarlett Johansson eating across from Starbucks, and my rule was if people are on the phone or eating or in a conversation, I didn't bother them. And I could have gone up to talk to her. I sat there. I was like kind of putting music up on my phone, loading it up, and just looking at her beauty, and she did a couple other things too with her husband at the time. But I would never interrupt. I wouldn't even listen to people. Everybody's trying to get my attention, and yeah, Scarlett's so fine and everything, and she was the beauty there. I didn't walk up to her because I know this isn't the reason why. The reason why is I was unconditional in my rules, but I knew that if I walked up to her and said, "Hey, Scarlett," she would look at me and say, "I'm eating right now. Who are you?" That kind of shit, So I did. I walked away from that. She ended up marrying somebody else, You got to deal with that. You've got to be good with that. Listen. Do you hear that? Hold on. I want you to see how this pedophile next door treats his dog. Or hear it. He does that shit inside his apartment right over here and gets his dog to bark for 2 hours. Imagine that dog's throat. Imagine that dog's brain. He only wants to please his master, but his pedophile, violent master only wants what he wants. He doesn't think about animals. He doesn't think about even humans, So he tries, listen, man, do you hear it? And that for 2 hours, he'll make that dog bark. I told him earlier, it's stupid if he starts barking that dog while I'm recording, because then I got more evidence. I could send this into the animal abuse center or whatever. Anyway, so that's what it's all about with the Confucius quote. All right, and this is important. This is Buddha. All right, animosity does not eradicate animosity. All right, think about that. Only by loving kindness is animosity dissolved. This law is ancient and eternal. There are those who are aware that we are always facing death. Knowing this, they put all contentiousness aside until we finally do live forever. And believe me, science is ready. Science has all of these theories and all of these, you could say, laws that they could do, but they don't have funding. And that's why I want to put all of the war budget of every country into science, because we will live forever. We'll build actual spaceship, not wimpy rockets, So, yeah, and I'll have my space station, my own spaceship, like I'll probably be there most of the time until Dreamweaver World gets unified, It's like, because I can't stand you humans, Anyway, hear that copter? The cops fly by almost every time. I don't need their security, but I've got angels and demons watching over me. I'm powerful within myself, but I do appreciate the cops, keeping an eye out, because I'm a revolutionary and anybody could shoot me at any time, and I'm ready for that. It's just another scar, or I die, which would be awesome. So anyway, animosity, fighting doesn't stop fighting. War doesn't cease war. Peace, love ceases war. All right. If you're fighting somebody, that's not love. Don't try to say that's tough love. That's not. Tough love is when you come over here and realize what nonviolence is all about. That's what I'm talking about. Any of these fools around here, they can come knock on my door at any time. They never do. They'll walk by and say shit, but I'm not about it, I can't very well go in there and pull that guy out of his apartment, because then I'll get kicked out of here, maybe even arrested. So I don't care about being arrested, but I like this apartment. It's perfect for me. It's exactly what I need to be awesome. Okay, Jesus quote. I'm trying to hurry this up because the last one was 4 gigs, that video that I just posted. Okay, so this is a well-known scripture from Jesus. All right. The most important commandment is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Jesus is not God. Jesus is the Messiah. All right. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. This is the first and greatest commandment. All right. You got to put me first above everybody. All right. Jesus was awesome. He's my son. And I know that's difficult to understand. When you think about time travel and everything, it's not that difficult to understand. I am resetting the universe. I am aligning it with to a universe with absolute logic. It's going to take some time. We got to live forever. We're going to have the cool hyperdimensional bodies, nanotech bodies, silicone based, hard as anything, like hardest of anything, almost indestructible, except for maybe a nuclear bomb or something. But anyway, the point is that even Jesus, you look through the Bible, even the lost scriptures, the lost books, you're not going to find anywhere that Jesus says that he is God. So many people want to try to make this jump and this, and it's not logical. It's just like, oh, faith, but you're not using your brain, You got to use your brain. You are not called to be stupid, You're not called to be gullible, claim it, it's such bullshit, It's so superstitious, If you're bowing down to a cross, we'll talk about this in a little bit, if you're bowing down to Jesus' statue and praying to him, that is idolatry. All right. The second commandment, which goes along well with this, The second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. There are no commandments greater than these. All of the law and the prophets hang on these 2 commandments. The pedophile next door, one time, there were a lot of people living at that apartment, or at least coming and going, And I gave them 4 loaves of bread because I had it. And I knew there was an older lady staying there. And I knew she was thinking that she needed enough to go around, So 4 loaves of bread, that's great if you're feeding 5 or 6 people, So I did it. He bitched about that, you know. And like I said, I caught him putting his hands down the pants of this kid that lives over here. Yeah, he put his hands down his pants and lifted him up over his head while he's stroking his balls and his dick, and he puts him back down and he looks at me, and I just look at him like, what the fuck, you know? But yeah, you know, love your neighbor as yourself. You know, or you don't see me getting violent at him, but that coward won't even come outside to talk to me. I've banged on his door. You know, I've tried to catch him. I got a good picture of him once, and I'll get a better one, especially if he's going to do that shit while I'm recording, you know. But, like, especially upstairs, I can look down and, like, you know, totally get a view of them. So, anyway, this dude needs to pay the price, definitely. Okay, so finally, all right, there's one more verse here. You know, we've got the book here about going to the absolute, you know, and teaching you how to fly, you know. So I know sometimes it's a lot, but you need to make time to actually study and not just read it, not skim it. Okay, but this verse by Moses, everybody, you know, even an idolatrous nation like India can understand this verse. Hold on, let me get to it. Okay. This is from Moses, okay? Israel, um, uh, Islam, like I say, Hinduism, Buddhism, Confucianism, everybody in the States. I mean, pretty much everybody around the world respects Moses, you know, because he was like one of the first, you know. But check this out. You saw no form of any kind the day the Lord spoke to you at Horeb out of the fire. Therefore, watch yourselves very carefully so you do not become arrogant and make yourselves an idol, an image of any shape. Talking about Jesus also, like people who bow down to crosses and Jesus, you know, good artwork. Even that Behemoth statue, right? It signifies something terrible, but it's still art. So it shouldn't be taken down, all right? But don't bow to it either. It's artwork, right? It's there to remind you what evil does. Okay, so anyway, make an image of any shape. Do not make an image of any shape, whether formed like a man or a woman or like an animal on earth or a bird that flies. And that doesn't mean an animal on another planet. Okay, get real. This means everything. If there was a male from another planet, it would be a man. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. So don't bow down to anything, a bird that flies in the air or like a creature that moves along the ground or any fish in the waters below. And when you look up into the sky, see the sun, the moon, and the stars, the heavenly array, and do not be enticed bowing down to them and worshiping things that the Lord your God has apportioned to all the nations under heaven. So what does this mean, right? Well, think about Solomon. If you know about Solomon, he was the wisest, was the wisest man. And then there was Jesus, and then there was me. But what's important to understand is that all of his concubines, all of his wives were from different nations, right? But he listened to their magic and he listened to their rituals. He listened to all the bad stuff. Rituals are not bad unless their intent is not for God, for me. All right, I do rituals a lot. But what Solomon did was he listened to all these women, and then by the end of his life, you know, think about it. He was a child of an adultery relationship. You know, King David slept with Bathsheba, and even put her husband on the front line so he would be killed. You know, so these guys weren't righteous. But they did a good job doing what they do. You know, think of Kennedy, for JFK, for example. You know, so anyway, that's what that means. Apportioned to all the nations under heaven. Like you don't go to India to see the temples to go bow down to that stuff. You see a statue of Buddha, don't bow down to it. If you make a statue of me or make a picture of me or whatever, don't bow down to it. You want to bow down to me in the flesh, that's fine, but don't bow down to any image. Okay, if you have any kind of shrine for me, make sure it's about formlessness, because that's what this is all about. There was no form of any kind the day the Lord spoke to you at Horeb out of the fire. And if you don't know that story of Moses talking to God in a fire, you can look that up. All right? But formless. That's the way it has to be. So in closing, we're doing pretty good on this one. The future videos from now on aren't going to be this extensive. Okay, I had to say a lot of information to get people kind of used to the videos again. By the way, I was talking about violence. Boxing is okay, and I appreciate Tyson and Jake Paul for using the bigger gloves, because that's what needs to happen. You want to settle it, you can get in the ring and wear big gloves, so nobody gets severely hurt. Of course, fighting Tyson, Jake, you're an idiot. Like I've said, I wouldn't fight Tyson if he lived to be 100. But anyway, all that to say is there are proper outlets for what you want to do, but you can't run ramrock all over everything. You are only humans. Okay, someone greater than you has arrived. I am Superman. There's no weaknesses for me. All right. My weaknesses used to be women, but I have been able to shore that up and have a very hardcore discipline to where if women want to be with me, it's like Starfucked, right? It's like she kind of changed. She dropped the goddess label, but she wasn't willing to go all the way. And of course, Megan, I'll never go through that again, But anyway, that about wraps it up for this evening. All right. I'll have more video. I'll try to get it all into one video tomorrow, which I should be able to, because I'm mainly just going through scripture and the important part. Because all of my writings are pretty much self-explanatory. I explain it in proper detail. The thing about realization is you don't want to go too short, but you don't want to go too far. All right? It's like you can over-realize something and become totally delusional about it. You cannot get far enough, you got to get just right, just the right amount of realization. So I put just the right amount of detail in there, to explain it. But these scriptures, they need explaining, they need to be deciphered. And remember, the only way to decipher my work properly is to see through the Dreamweaver lens, which is all of the Dreamweaver rules. Okay. All right. That does it for this evening. I'm all about love and peace, but, this is hell prison time, so you could be taken anytime. Peace.